Hi everyone, it's Joel on the Stay Hungry podcast. I've got a special guest for you today, and we're going to be talking about finding your niche. Dale, welcome back to the Stay Hungry podcast.
Hey, how you doing? I mean, special guest is ridiculous, but I'll take it. I'm good. How are you?
Special to me. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Yeah, just adjusting to my newly found life in my home office where I've spent the last 3 months. So
I don't even use our home office. So our home office is upstairs, but the other half is cornered that for themselves, and I get the dining room table, which is definitely not good enough. It's too low. It's not perfect for sitting, but I'll take it.
Not good. So to introduce you a little bit for anyone that hasn't heard the previous time you were on the pod, last time you were on, you were a TV presenter, and now you're a YouTuber. So tell us.
Well, I'm still a TV presenter. I'm still online. Everybody, if you like your tool station, I'm still there for you. Don't worry. But also on YouTube, doing my own stuff, staying creative. I saw a thing today, actually. I don't know when this goes out, but about how many freelancers are now going to have to turn into being non-freelancers because of COVID, and how many people can't live like this. And it's crazy, and it shows to everyone who is a freelancer out there, if you are a freelancer like myself, it's going to become more and more vital that you come up with your own ways of being creative, I think, instead of relying on other people.
Yeah, I think so. Particularly, I guess, without going into the details of it, because of the way the self-employed income support scheme works and the kind of infrequent nature of work for actors, presenters, voiceovers and stuff, it doesn't really work for them. Their last year's income might have been terrible, but the year before might have been really good. So it doesn't balance out for them like it would somebody who's self-employed in other industries.
Yeah, for sure. On a personal level, definitely. Definitely so.
So tell us about your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I do Football Manager. I know it's a crazy niche that probably a lot of you might not really care about or think about. But yeah, Football Manager is a big game online. You can play online, you can play on your own, on your computer like I do. And it's just basically you pretend to be a football manager. Now, I understand that a lot of you people are thinking I'm an incredibly sad human being. I accept it. I accept it fully and I take it on board. But it passes my time. And so I'm a YouTube creator in that sense. I pick a club, I follow it through, and it's basically creating a story from an Excel spreadsheet. That's the way I play it, and try and make it interesting for everybody to watch as well as I go. And it's slowly building. I had a bit of a lull over Christmas because I think, like everybody else, Christmas was becoming a bit of a time for reflection, and I think it was a very good time to just fixate everything back to what you need to focus on, and then started back up in January, and now it's progressing again. It's a slow build, but I think anything is a slow build. When you come to creating something yourself, you've got to find your market, you've got to find your niche, you've got to slowly get people to trust you and to trust your product isn't just going to go away. I suppose on YouTube, that's something that's vital to people as well. People are very, very quick to turn off from you. So you've got to make sure that you keep producing something, which is the same in any kind of marketing sense, I guess. You've got to always keep producing because people are so ready. It's like I was saying to sorry, I'm rambling already. This is why you put me on.
I'm listening.
Dale, just talk forever. I was talking to my missus the other day about acting, because obviously it is what it is. At the moment, there's no stars in acting. It's become something of the past, really, when you used to see Tom Hanks in every film, Bradley Cooper in every film, Ryan Gosling in every film. It's kind of, they were stars, big names, Bruce Willis, that kind of Tom Cruise situation. You get less and less and less because these companies don't need stars anymore to sell their films, which means that unless you are selling yourself all the time, your star will just go out incredibly quickly.
Do you think that's because the mystique of the film star, much like the rock star or the pop star, has kind of gone with the rise of the internet? Like, we know everything about them now, so they're not this like mythical creature anymore that you could hang a film on or hang an album on.
I think so. I think so. I think and there's too much. There's too much to watch. So you look at your Netflix, you look at your Amazon, you look at your Sky, you look at all of these things that you have to watch TV on. There's just too many programs. So it's very difficult for a big film company or a big whatever company to just be like, yeah, we'll just bring out that 6 films a year. It's basically a Marvel franchise is what the Marvel franchise is the old method of stars. The only way you can be a star now is to be a Marvel character, because you're going to get at least 6 films on the back of it where you'll play the same character.
But that's also the reason that stars aren't such a big deal now, because they've made, like Disney have made the Marvel franchise the star of the show. It's not the individual components.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to, even people in that sense, it's just completely marketing yourself, isn't it? Everyone has to do it, and that's why it's so important on these socials that they do so, or they don't. You don't see some of the biggest names. Maybe that's what actually transpires to be how you become the biggest name. I don't know. I'm talking about Leonardo DiCaprio. I completely ruined my whole spiel by thinking, well, he doesn't really use socials. Neither does Bradley Cooper or any of those older generation stars. Maybe that's what's going to become the big star sitch. But it doesn't help someone like me, who's a startup YouTuber, trying to sell their product to people, trying to find their niche in the world. They've already made it.
Yeah. So who would you say is the last big film star? Bloody hell, we are all over the place on this podcast already.
Yeah, I know. I think this is quite a good way to go, though. People might be like, you know what, actually, let's think about this. Who is the last film star? Because I think Leo probably is the only one who's still surviving on the name of a Leonardo DiCaprio film everybody is still going to see, because you expect it to be amazing. You don't ever expect a Leo film to be bad. So I think Leo's still holding on to the fact that he has that mystique of being Leonardo DiCaprio, I guess. Because I think the others, when you think about like Tom Hanks, he's brilliant, fantastic, but he's past the age now of being a star.
Oof, brutal.
Yeah, I would say so, though.
There's a film, News of the World's just come out, hasn't it? And nobody realises it's just come out.
Yeah,
which
I think that's
you need to know.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it? Yeah. Whereas a Leo film, you're going to know a Leo film's coming out.
But do you think, to like younger people younger than us, there are still film stars? Like, is Tom Holland a big deal to younger people?
To kids, maybe, because he's Spider-Man and he's lovely. Seems really nice, doesn't he?
And he's going to be Nathan Drake, isn't he, in the new computer game film, whatever that's called.
Uncharted. Is it Uncharted?
Yeah, Uncharted. Yeah, and I think there's a massive audience for that, isn't there?
That's the way they're going. They're going. It's. Have you seen that they've just cast The Last of Us?
Yeah, with the chap from Mandalorian.
So maybe that's where they're going now, because we've seen in the past how well computer games transpire into films.
Yeah, I think they're just looking for the next franchise. I really do. I think that's the model now. Is if they know something's got a strong fan base, what can they build? And it's a real shame. But then it plays into Netflix and Amazon Prime's hand, because all the kind of cool indie films are going to come to streaming.
Yeah. Yeah, and it plays into maybe we're too old, Joel. Is that the situation? We're too
sound old. We do sound old.
Yeah, because I can't think of. I don't know. I guess it's often built on what is in teen hemisphere of who's a star, isn't it? And I'm guessing
you kind of reached an age where you couldn't give a shit.
Oh, you're allowed to swear in here, are you?
Oh, the Stay Hungry podcast is a swear-friendly zone. Yeah.
God, yeah. I don't know if there are stars. I don't think we were speaking about this a long time ago, back when I was at uni, about the fact that stars are dying out, and it's beyond star. Because I have my degrees in film and everything like that, and we obviously look back on the big stars of the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and how it actually progressed. And those stars aren't there anymore.
Yeah,
but I guess that is the internet.
As soon as they become accessible, they're no longer a superhero to be. Essentially, they haven't got like once you know their faults, like Johnny Depp's a great example. He was a huge star in the early 90s, and now various controversies and things going on, he's kind of considered the bad egg of Hollywood, sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's Army Hammer. It's not going well for him at the moment.
No, I don't think we'll go into detail on that.
But like,
Google Army. If you're listening, Google Army Hammer and don't blame us.
Yeah, please do, because I was talking to some other friends about it and they had no clue. And then once they found out, they were like, "Wow, that's mental." But
so the reason I brought you on the podcast, to get back on topic a little bit, I was chatting to a guy on Wednesday who owns a coffee company. So he roasts and grinds coffee beans from a small business in Wales and sends them out all over the world. And he really, really knows his stuff. But he was really struggling with niching his audience, and he was asking me questions around what should I do to target my audience. And his approach was he was going to look at everybody that had ordered from him up till now and kind of take a look at that and see, right, well, who likes what I do? But he wasn't happy with where his business was at that point. And I said to him, well, you need to think about who you want to sell to. So, you know, if you're an expert in coffee, chances are you know that there's a lot of millennials that probably are anti-Starbucks and like coffee. There's all these people that work from home now that have probably bought coffee machines, include you in that. There's the kind of professional type person that always has to have a coffee in their cup to put in the cup holder in the car before they go to work in the morning. There's all these different niches that he could go for, but the risk he has is trying to please them all and ending up pleasing no one. And so that the weird jump for me was, well, you've got a Football Manager YouTube, and you're starting to see really good traction with that, but it's also very niche. Obviously, people have got to know what Football Manager is. Chances are they probably got to like football as well, and they've got to like watching YouTube videos of that.
Yeah, super niche.
And it narrows it down, but yet you end up with some very passionate people to the extent that, you know, people have sent you gifts and stuff because they're so interested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that kind of passion is what you want from your niche as a business, as a small business. If you can tap into that and people feel part of a community, it's almost a license to print money when you get that kind of passion and that kind of following, because you're giving them something that your competitors can't give them.
Yeah, I think so. With the Football Manager thing, like it's super niche, and I'm sure a lot of people are thinking it's super geeky and it's super everything like that, and it is, But what I did with it is, so I'm a presenter. That's what I do. Like, I obviously act. I'm a presenter. And I think, how can I use this? And I was watching other people do, in theory, what I do, and a bit like this coffee guy, looking at people who do it as well. And I looked at it and went, I know what they're doing. But if I use my actual skills of professionally being a presenter to know how to keep energy up, how to engage, how to try and bring people in, I can do better than these people. And that my niche is that, like any niche of anybody, and especially when you're selling yourself, my niche is that nobody else is me. So as long as I can not pass the point of having the self-doubt of going, am I any good? Am I better? What am I bringing to the market? I think whatever you do, like with this coffee guy, it's always going to be his version of something. So his selling point is him. And I don't think it matters what your product is in general. I think you're always just selling yourself.
Yeah.
So like, it's just that I think that's also, on the flip, the hardest thing you can sell, because it's the thing that you're most protected of. You're
too close to it. Yeah. I think
don't want people to hate you.
A lot of marketing agencies say wanky things like, think about your personal brand. And it's like, and actually, I mean, this is a compliment to you, but last time you were on the Stay Hungry podcast, you said to me about when I'm doing videos and things that perhaps I'm not being myself enough. I'm being a bit too kind of polished, trying to be a bit too professional.
Yeah.
And that really chimed with me, and it's really helped me with podcasting and filming and things like that, because once you get comfortable with who you are, which isn't easy in itself, you accept that not everyone's going to like you, but that's fine because some people will, and it's the people that will that you want to sell to.
It's another way that this has happened to me is I do a thing on, it's called Toolstation Tuesdays. Don't know if anybody out there has watched it. If you're in the sort of the building trades or anything, you may have seen it on Facebook or whatever. It's where I actually do present other stuff. So for another company, an actual job. And for me, I'm a person who I know diddly squat about building. I know absolutely nothing about nails, hammers, drills, how to put up a wall, how to do any of this stuff. And when I first started that, I was so professional and I was so like straight down the line. I just wanted it to be to prove that I knew what I was doing and Now I've been doing it quite a long time, and the people there love me. I'm very fortunate with this. They love me. And they're like, the reason we love you is you just don't have any kind of pretense. There's no falseness. If something goes wrong, you just flow with it. If you don't know about something, you'll say to people, I don't know about something. You're very much free and easy. It's that being comfortable in your skin. And I think that's what we're all trying to say when we sell ourselves. Once you get past the fact of the pretense that you put up to try and sell yourself because you want everyone to like you, once you can get past that and you can just admit to going wrong. Like the other day, I literally did the biggest mistake live on air. It's live. So I completely messed up the whole thing. And within 5 minutes, we were back on track. And the people afterwards were like, how did you stay so cool about messing it all up? And I was like, well, what's the worst that could happen? Like, what are people going to care? There's no care. It's people enjoy people going wrong. People enjoy reality.
Yeah. As long as you're not being false, you're going to be fine. It's when you go wrong and then pretend you didn't, you get found out, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you're selling, but people love people. People like to feel, people don't want to feel like you know more than them. No one wants to feel like superior because of how you're talking to people. So I always think when I'm on air and if it goes wrong or if I'm talking about something, the main way of doing it, and it's the same with Football Manager, is I'm not the best player of Football Manager. I'm decent, but I'm not like an amazing player. But I'll try and keep you engaged, in contact with me. I ask for your help. I want you guys to help. I want it to feel like it's on a level playing field, even though it isn't. I'm the one playing the game and I'm going to make the decisions or whatever. It's that ability to just relax into whatever you're doing, to the point of right or wrong. People will like it, people won't like it, but I'm going to relax because I trust that I'm doing what's right for me.
Yeah.
And therefore,
I get that. A lot of the people that approach us as a business, I'm not going to give them any advice that's fundamentally wrong. I all the marketing advice I dish out is fundamentally sound because I'm well read in marketing, but the way I deliver that might not suit everyone, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. If I'm not your flavor, so to speak, that's absolutely fine. There will be marketing people or business growth experts out there for you, where the way we do it is quite intense. It's quite a handheld process. It's we're very direct. It's no holds barred. If someone's doing something wrong, we will tell them. If someone does something and we don't think it's up to the standard it should be, we will tell them. And not everyone likes that, but that's fine because the people that do like it are who we're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. But that must have come from years of experience on your side, because that's the ability to have that confidence within yourself. Whenever anybody's starting something, like if there's anyone listening now, you're only just starting your business or you're very new into your business, it's very hard to say to you guys and like,
stop trying to please everyone. Yeah,
stop trying to please everyone. Like, I'm an actor and I still go to auditions today, and I tell myself before I go to these auditions, I'm like, there is nothing you can do to make sure that they like you. So just go in and do what you want to do. Like, there's no foolproof. I could walk in, shake everyone's hand, be like, oh, mate, yeah. There's no way that's going to get me the job. So I've just got to go in and do what's right for me. And if I don't get it, a bit like someone in marketing trying to, I guess, gain a new client, if I don't get it, it's not because I was rubbish. It's more the point of it just didn't work. There was some kind of correlation.
So to give acting, like auditioning as an example, it's the same thing, isn't it? Every small business is essentially constantly auditioning for work.
Yeah.
And in an audition scenario, you probably want to go in and show something a little bit different to everybody else. Now, the risk of that is that the 3, 4, 5 people on the panel think it's shit.
Yeah.
But then maybe one in 5 times they absolutely love it and think, well, bloody hell, nobody else did that. That was really cool. And obviously, the difficulty with acting is that you're having to do that with your kind of own personal feelings all the time. But in business, you've got a bit of a shield. Chances are you won't see much of that rejection because they just won't inquire. And that's fine because they were never going to be a good customer for you anyway.
Yeah, there's definitely, and being able to work on that shield should give people confidence to take the hit.
Yeah.
Like you're not taking that hit directly to, I'm using like a medieval term, like taking it directly to the body. You've got a shield there to block you. You've got that, they just don't want my product, and I think that works well. But also on the front of stuff about auditioning and work-life balance, I don't know if this is really correct, but me and the other half were talking, and she works for a decent business and like does a lot of face-to-face work. I couldn't believe how many, you might be out there and listening to this thinking, no, we obviously do this, Dale, don't be stupid. But I couldn't believe they don't rehearse. And this is a weird thing, like as an actor, like you rehearse your role no matter what you do. But the amount of times they do Zoom calls, or well, obviously in real life, you would go up and meet people, meetings and all these things, never rehearse what they're going to say. And if you are someone out there you're trying to sell something to, please rehearse what you're saying. Please take time to go over it with somebody like your partner or a friend or something who isn't in your business, because it's vitally important that you know what it's like to deal with other people. So she always does it to me. She'll always do her next piece or whatever she's trying to do in the meeting with me, because one, I don't know what she's talking about, and two, I'm going to give her an honest feedback of it. Like obviously when you guys try and sell something, 90% of the time they're going to have a little feel of what you're talking about, but they don't know exactly what you're selling. So you've got to be ready for somebody who loses engagement so that you can understand, I need to be more energetic here, or I need to sell this here. Because if I'm losing my brain listening to what she's saying, the person she's selling to will.
Yeah.
So, but I couldn't believe she said people in the work just don't do that. They don't meet up. They don't do these things. I was thinking, wow, like
it's crazy. One. Yeah. I think what people forget when they're selling or marketing is that you are selling to the person in front of you, whether that's the user on your website, the panel that you're pitching to, the customer in your shop. You're selling to them, and unless you can put that pitch in context that suits them, you're probably missing out. And that's something that a lot of businesses make a mistake with, and why you need to niche, because otherwise you're trying to sell to everyone and you end up selling to no one.
Yeah. It's just, it's niche is hard though, isn't it? I understand you have to find a niche, because otherwise you just get lost in the market. That's the grand scheme of things. But it's so tough, and I'm sure anyone listening who's trying to find a niche, it's so tough to it's kind of like putting all your eggs in one basket. It's the risk level that you feel when you.
I think that's the risk people think they're taking, but they forget that the UK. There's 70 million people in the UK. If you find a niche, chances are that's still a massive audience. And actually, I mean, I describe it as when you haven't got a niche, what you're doing is throwing as much shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And that's such an easy way to waste money in business, where, like, take the coffee, for example. If you're targeting people who chances are passionate about coffee, selling to them will cost you a lot less than trying to convert people from tea to coffee.
Yeah. Which is what they're I feel like they're doing with the tea bag situation, or the coffee bag, which I just think pointless. If you drink coffee, don't you? I don't understand this bag situation. Does anyone if there's anybody out there who's listening to this right now who gets coffee bags, can you write in? I don't know, Joel will give you some kind of weird writing in situation. I don't know if you're on a If you might be
We've got
listening.
social media and stuff. We're quite a modern company. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I've never heard of this social media. Get involved on the social media and let me know if you buy these coffee bags, because I want to know what is the point in a coffee bag. Just
why I know what the point is if you want me to chip in.
You know what? I want you to chip in, and then I want you to shush afterwards when I tell you it was a
So our office, we have a coffee machine because we're fancy, and I like coffee too much, basically. But if you worked in a large office that doesn't have a coffee machine, but you also don't like instant coffee because it tastes like crap or it gives you heartburn or you just don't like it, whatever reason, how would you brew a proper coffee without a coffee bag?
Yeah, it's not a proper coffee, though, is it? Let's be honest.
I don't think it tastes that great because you need the water pressure, but I mean, maybe we need a coffee expert on the podcast.
Hey, get that guy, bring that guy up now.
He's not selling coffee bags, so he knows.
He knows exactly the game. We have, I think, where we're based, there's a lot of coffee sellers around here. Like it's ridiculous. We're kind of living in a bubble of like a
it's like we do live in like
London,
the capital of artisan goods.
God, it is, isn't it? Which I'm a massive fan of. I'm not going to lie, but I think if you can find your niche here at the moment, you're sorted. The amount of coffee shops that pop up, I think we've got at least, off the top of my head, I can think of 5 independent coffee shops in a small town.
There's more than that, surely. There's way more.
I'm thinking of the ones that you actually have to queue. Because at the moment, there's 2 opened up very recently, and you literally queue to get into them. Like that busy. And the point is, like, niches, 2 of those niches, one of them is that they roast the bean in the store for you to see. So that's their niche. It just works because people are like, oh, that's fancy, and I'll do that. And the other one is because they do, I'm guessing it's because they do really good homemade food items with it as well. But like, if you can find a niche in coffee, you can find a niche in anything, right? At the moment. I wouldn't. What did you say to this gentleman about finding his niche in coffee? What was your like, where could you find that niche?
I think my gut feeling for him is he needs to take advantage of the search volume of people looking for high quality UK roasted coffee. So that might be, and I don't know what that audience is without doing more research, but I was in a room of a Zoom room of about 15 people, and immediately kind of some of the older people in the group was like, oh, posh coffee is only for kind of older middle class people.
Oh no.
And I fired back and said, no, millennials all have coffee machines and drink coffee, and they didn't believe me. So I did a little bit of research and showed them, and they were quite shocked. It was sort of, they didn't quite realize. I was like, these are people who previously managed to find £4 a day to buy Starbucks. So having a fancy coffee machine and some ground coffee isn't a big leap for them. It's not the same as people who were used to paying 50p for a lukewarm cup of tea. The market behaviour's changed, and then we got into all sorts around the fact that there's so many niches in, because coffee is such a broad and popular item. There's so many niches within that. You've got, you could say, right, I'm going to do coffee for like biker men, or I'm going to do coffee for gym goers who want a big caffeine hit before they go to the gym, like rocket fuel, that sort of thing. Or I'm going to do coffee for mumpreneurs who like to have coffee in a group scenario with the girls, or I'm going to do coffee for people who want less caffeine in their coffee because they love the taste of coffee, but caffeine messes with their system. There's literally so many options with coffee.
I'm starting a coffee business. I've decided in the last few minutes that there's so many niches. I'm ready to dive in.
But I think, someone in the room when we were talking about it said, well, you could go after more than one niche and just have different pages on your website. And I didn't disagree at the time, but I'm disagreeing now on the podcast to far more listeners. If you do that, how do you know what language you should use on your homepage? How do you know what language you should use on your contact page? How do you know what language and what imagery you should be using on your social media? Because you're trying to please two different variants, and you end up with a confusing message. Where if you went like all out and said, right, cards on the table, I'm only going for people aged between 30 and 60 with a motorbike who like coffee, then you would know to use the kind of visuals of like motorbikes and flasks and tattoos and like stopping for a coffee on a mountainside, all that kind of thing. And suddenly it changes everything about your business.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm well into this coffee. I've got a coffee, actually, talking about niche coffees. I've got a coffee in right now, which is, it's been aged in whiskey barrels. And I tell you what, it's amazing. But that's a niche that you wouldn't have thought of, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen a few of those aged in various barrels or flavored with bourbon or flavored with sherry. And yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? And or like roasted in a different way. So like the wood used for the roasting has been hickory wood or whatever.
Yeah, so many things. But it's just having that ability to just trust it as well, isn't it? It's I think finding your niche or finding your, I think is a lot. I'm guessing. I mean, I find it difficult in a way to say, because as an actor, it's hard to find your niche, especially once
that's slightly different, isn't it? In the sense that we were talking about this the other day about Gerard Butler, about he's only got one niche, and the issue is he gets typecast. But the niche finding for it in the acting world is the film or program. So let's say who plays Superman at the moment? What's his name?
This may have to be edited because I can't remember, but is it Henry Cavill?
Henry Cavill is Superman at the moment, but he's also The Witcher. Now, yeah, they're very different audiences, The Witcher and Superman, and that's the niche. Whereas he's the coffee bean.
Yeah, he's the same guy. To be fair, he's the same build, same guy, same thing, just ever so slightly different.
But but the audience is different. One is people interested in.
You know what? I don't know if that's too different. I would have thought that you're talking. I mean, I might be wrong, but
I'd say Superman's far more accessible than The Witcher.
Yeah, but I would have thought that you're going to have a massive crossover. You're going to have a massive crossover.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh, let's think of another example then. Oh, you're causing me problems now, don't you?
Sorry, I've let you down there, because I'm thinking of like, if you have a bigger gap between people, the niche is harder. But then that is the niche. The niche that he's gone for and he's hit bang on the nail is this lead of a sort of, one of them is definitely.
That's his niche, but I'm thinking in terms of the audience, one is kind of like mystical fantasy and the other is superhero film. But I do understand what you're saying as well. What other film was he in? Was he in Bridge of Spies with Tom Hanks?
Maybe. Which one's Bridge of Spies? Isn't that the one with? You'll definitely have to cut this because we're both going and ahhing. Was Bridge of Spies?
Oh no, I'm not cutting nothing. Anyway, my point being, in the instance we're talking about here, Henry Cavill's the coffee bean. He's the product. He's not the marketing. He's not the niching.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter, in terms of acting, that's the whole thing about where when there was film stars, they were the niche almost. People went and watched their films regardless of the type of film it was. And the market shifted now and they go and watch the film because of what type of film it is. And the people in it are less important.
Yeah, so would you say, like, when you look at it like that, in the old-fashioned situation, you used to go to a Tom Cruise film because Tom Cruise is actually a fantastic actor, and he would do different types of films throughout the 90s or whatever. And now, if you're going to see a Tom Cruise film, you see Mission Impossible or Mission Impossible under a different name.
Yes.
That's all you're seeing.
Yeah.
But before you would see, A Few Good Men, and then you'd follow that up with, Top Gun, and then he had.
Oh yeah, if you think like the difference between Cocktail and The Last Samurai, it's significant. But you probably saw both because Tom Cruise was in it. Where now, if you went to see, I don't know, Avengers Endgame, and then you went to see what came out last year that isn't a superhero film. I don't
Basically,
know.
what came out last year, everything got past to this now. So,
but like I don't know, like Green Book or something like that. You're going to see it for the story, not because of the stars, and it's they're selling you the story, and they're very targeted. Where it used to be that they sold you the star, the focus of the poster would be the star, and that's not the case anymore.
We're now getting to a point that, I'm sorry to anybody who isn't in acting or doesn't know about or doesn't care about films and stuff like that, because a lot of what we're chatting about is film instead of maybe more into different types of actual business
examples.
When you look at a business which is Netflix, Amazon, and Sky, so they're three businesses who are now doing the same thing. Disney are all doing these, you buy your film packages and whatever on that. Well, they're all trying to find their niches. Where Amazon's niche now is they're trying to do documentaries, sell them to everybody. So all or nothing sports documentaries, they are trying to get as many of them done. The Top Gear stuff and anything on top. Well, I say Top Gear, it's not, is it? It's whatever they call themselves now.
Yeah.
Their Grand Tour situations. And there's been another one that's just been released with Richard Hammond in. They're trying to really...
I tried watching that and I got about 5 minutes in and wanted to gouge my eyes out.
Oh, horrific. I didn't even get 5 minutes in. I literally watched the trailer for it and was like, that is... If your trailer is your best bit and I'm having to watch this unscripted, scripted moment, I was like, no.
Where they've got to survive on an island, but conveniently there's a camera crew of 300 people there.
It's ridiculous. But that's Amazon is sort of hitting that niche. That's kind of what they're trying to do.
And absolutely. It's become this kind of like hyper reality documentary platform.
And I've not got a problem with that. At least they're finding a niche because they know they can't fight with Netflix for, Netflix's own brand of own content is fantastic. And they've thrown so much money at it. But they've sort of done what you said isn't right at the start, I think. Netflix, that shit against the wall analogy and seeing what sticks. They very much did that with their films, with their TV programs, with everything. So now Netflix has this massive back catalogue of stuff and a hell of a lot of it rubbish. Where Amazon has spent the main money on these documentaries and stuff.
But I think when you're talking about massive business, huge business, then it's a whole different kettle of fish. If you're, Nescafe don't have the same concerns as the independent coffee roaster. And
the same time though.
So the Nescafe will have like a broad range of products aimed at different people, which is what Netflix is doing. Whereas the coffee roaster, who literally has only got one premises and can only do so much, needs to know their niche because they'll burn through their budget.
Would you say though, for people who are out there with bigger businesses, so, Nescafe, for example, are missing a trick by sitting too comfortably on what they've got?
I think you'd be shocked at how many coffee brands Nescafe own that you don't realise.
A bit like Coke.
Yeah. So they'll have, you've got like standard Nescafe Gold Blend would be the ones but then they'll have a budget instant coffee. They've got Nespresso, and then they'll have others that aren't labelled Nescafe at all, and that's how they're tackling it. But each of those is aimed at a different audience, a different niche.
So I was talking about alcohol with my partner, and she was saying, "Oh yeah, that's owned by this and that's owned by that," And I was like, I thought I just got an independent can at Tesco.
Yeah. Like Diageo own like a third of the alcohol market.
Unreal, isn't it?
Mad. And then Jack Daniels own a huge amount of the whiskey market, which I think is Diageo anyway now. I'm not sure actually.
Yes, I think as we go back to the niche and the business and whatever, and like new businesses, and go back to my experience with Football Manager and why I chose that as my niche. I think I chose that as my niche because it's something I enjoy, and I think that's number one when you're picking a niche, is to pick something that is never going to be taxing to you to do. So if you're going for something, it's because you just know it, you enjoy it, and you'll go for it.
You've got to know how to talk to that niche, or you're going to get found out very quickly. And like in your case, you certainly know your way around presenting in front of a camera, which helps when you're doing a YouTube channel. You know about football, which helps when you're playing Football Manager, and you've also played pretty much every version of Football Manager. So chances are you can speak the right language and talk the right talk.
To people out there who've got this far in the podcast, thank you very much. And second of all, if you've never watched I'm not trying to sell myself at all, and I'm very aware that most of you won't watch Football Manager, but it might be interesting for you to see. It's FM Dale, so go and look on YouTube for FM Dale and type in like the iBar experience, which is what I'm doing now, or any of the others, and just watch the first few minutes of the iBar experience, which is one that I've most recently done. Because I think it might really help you get a feel for kind of what we're saying about picking a niche and picking a thing, because you'll see straight away that very easily, if you're not into it, this is what I'm trying to say is, if you're not into it, you're going to think I look like a right idiot. Like there's no like, but that's what we're also trying to say is not being afraid to do that. You've found your niche and you're going for your niche, and it's like, go and watch it. Go and spend even just 10 seconds watching it, and you might sit there and go, this is absolutely rubbish. And that is fine, because a niche isn't trying to aim to everyone. It's trying to hit those couple of people.
Yeah. Well, a good example for anyone that likes sort of heavy metal and rock music, Metallica, obviously a very, very popular heavy metal band, but they're also very heavy, and certainly for metalheads. And then in the mid-90s, with Mission Impossible, weirdly enough, they decided to try and broaden that and become kind of mainstream. And they had the biggest lull in their history, was kind of like some of their fans abandoned them. People were like, oh, I only like their old music. And now they've gone back the other way, and they're probably heavier than they've ever been. But they abandoned their niche, and it hurt them as a band. And I find that really interesting, that sometimes when brands try and be something for everyone, it can really do them damage, because a band can't do what Nescafe can do and just buy up a load of other products. A music label can, but a band can't.
Yeah, we always had as a sixth form, we loved Biffy Clyro.
Yeah.
We used to we all went to see Biffy Clyro on the day that we finished sixth form. They were playing in Birmingham. We all went down, and then they became massively mainstream. They changed the complete music style to become mainstream. And thing is, like, the flip can happen there. They left their niche to become quite mainstream, and it worked out very well for them. They obviously made a lot of money, but it only works for as long as those music lasts. And then once that's gone, they've kind of, as you say with Metallica, Biffy have kind of done the same thing. They've kind of gone a bit more back to their experimental heaviness. And you've lost some of the people who started with you because you've put out so much mainstream. And then you've gone from mainstream. The mainstream people don't want to listen to that weird stuff that you were doing before. So you end up kind of crumbling instead
in
of
no man's land. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But at the same time, I would have thought they've made enough money to not really worry about that.
Yeah, it's difficult when you're talking about like huge acts, but the kind of metaphor's right, that if you try and please everybody, you end up pleasing no one. And when you find your niche, it's about evolving with them. So let's say your niche is millennials. As those millennials get older, do you decide to go with them, or do you try and pick up the next lot of people of that age group and stay young? And it really depends on the structure of your business. If you plan on owning your business for 30 years, probably best that you age with your audience because you're literally aging. Where if you're selling to younger owners, they probably can keep it fresh. And these are the sort of things you need to consider. I think most businesses, when they start out, the one thing they forget to ask themselves is, who are we selling to? Because they're so confident about their product or service, they think they can sell to everyone.
And there's always a new level of people coming. I think this is something I was having a chat, and a lot of the things that I'll probably say on here, I'm not business minded, and my partner was telling me, we were talking about something last night, and she just went, you can tell that you've never worked in a corporate world, because my brain doesn't work like that. Because I was saying to her about something in the structural organization she works at, about how there's people at the top, and she's like, yeah, they know everything. And I was like, well, no, they don't, because they're all, older men, and you're a younger woman, and you all have lived differently. So is it not important to feel like you can have your say to those people? And then I would have thought in any management situation, the older you get, it's got to be important to bring young people quite, not say through to the top quickly, but with a voice, because you could be selling coffee now and you could do really, really well. You've sold coffee, you know exactly what your mark was when you came in, your niche when you came in. And then 20 years later, you could still be hitting that niche, but you're now missing a whole brand new market because you've not thought about.
Yeah, it's kind of that whole, if you just said to people 30 years ago that people would spend £5 on a cup of coffee, they'd have laughed in your face.
Yeah.
And now that's not that mad. That, that you can easily spend that on a cup of coffee, and people do. And that,
or if you just
kind of the opposite of that. If you get it's not so much about getting stuck on your niche. It's like, if you get stuck in that we've always done it this way attitude, you're really going to find yourself in some hot water further down the line, because you're going to carry on doing things the way you always have and not evolve with the market.
Yeah, it's like, I guess, if you were marketing and you were still just purely focusing on Facebook.
Yeah.
You've missed the...
Yeah. And that's the thing with niching. If you're an SME, you're not going to have an endless marketing budget. And so trying to please everyone, even if you're adamant you can please everyone, is going to cost you too much money, because you will waste money on advertising because your audience is so big, that money will spend very quickly and you won't get the purchases you need to sustain it. Where if you can be targeted and say, I don't know, maybe you sell face cream for men that play outdoor sports. So immediately you can target your advertising at men in the right age range that play outdoor sports and suffer with dry skin. So it's a much tighter niche to spend your advertising budget on, and so you can have a lot less wastage.
That's this guy. So if there's anybody out there who's selling face creams for someone who does outdoor activity, we were literally having that conversation last night.
Really?
Yeah, because I've started a beauty. Everyone out there, you may not know me, but I've started a beauty regime, like a lot of good middle-aged men have done, and I started using. I started using serum at night to try and hydrate my skin. But I tell you what, I'm not great at it. Not great at remembering it. So if there's anybody out there who's just come up with a new sporting one, because I get dry skin very easily on the old face, Saru. So if there is someone out there with that business, please do get in contact. I'm willing to take. I'll advertise for free if you give me products.
Nice. There you go. Get yourself
sell.
You could be the sponsor of FM Dale.
Yes.
Actually, that really fits well.
Definitely. With YouTube and sponsoring, by the way, that YouTube, just selling, you sponsor something on YouTube, it's crazy how much like site you get on that. Mental.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've pitched you there. That's nice. So let's draw this to a close. What's the takeaway, Dale?
The takeaway? I was thinking tonight of going for a nice Thai dish.
Brilliant. It's not even funny, is it? So basically, find your niche, make sure you're passionate about that niche and they're passionate about you, and go after it, because you'll save money on advertising, you'll make more sales, and you'll know the language and the visuals that you need to communicate with that audience. Dale, thanks for joining us on the Stay Hungry podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
And if you want to talk about niching or anything to do with target audience, hop on codebreak.co.uk. You can book a discovery call with myself or Andy. We'd love to chat to you. All right, take care, everybody.